podiums anymore, and I'm enjoying the sport more than I ever have. That probably sounds a bit backwards, especially if you've spent any time in endurance sport. We're conditioned to think progress means faster times, more medals, better splits, and for a while that was my goal too. But something shifted. These days I care less about numbers and more about moments. Less about finishing times and more about where I'm racing, who I'm with, and why I even started in the first place. There was a time where every race felt like a measuring stick. I'd look at my pace, my results, my placing, and let that determine whether it was a success. And while that mindset pushed me for a long time, it also wore me down. Because the truth is, no matter how fast you get, there's always someone faster. No matter how many races you do, there's always another one to chase. At some point, I realized I didn't want to chase more. I wanted to chase meaning. And that's what this video is about. Racing for the experience, for the connection, for the memory, not the medal. And why that change might just be the best thing I've done for myself as an athlete. When I first got into racing, it was all about progress. Every event was a chance to prove something to myself, to others, maybe even to my ego. I was chasing personal bests, comparing splits, eyeing podiums, and in some ways that phase was exciting. There's a drive that comes with chasing numbers and it can push you. But what I didn't see at the time was the weight that came with it. Every race had stakes. If I didn't perform well, it felt like a failure. Not just a bad day, but like I'd somehow regressed. That mindset creeps in quietly. It turns something fun into a scoreboard, and before you know it, you're not signing up for races because you're excited. You're signing up because you have to prove something. I'd get to the finish line and immediately wonder what the watch said, not how I felt. I'd go through race photos looking for one I could post that made me look fast, not necessarily one that made me look happy. And the weirdest part, the better you get, the more that pressure builds. People expect you to keep leveling up, and you expect it out of yourself too. So even as you improve, the joy can slowly leak out of the process. I also started noticing how much the races felt the same. Same courses, same routines, same mental checklist. It was like I was going through the motions until the results came in. And that was when I felt something. And that's when it hit me. I wasn't racing because I loved the event. I was racing because I needed validation from it. And that shift in purpose slowly made the whole experience feel a lot heavier than it needed to be. And eventually something had to give. It wasn't one big moment. It was more like a quiet realization that kept creeping in. I was tired. Not just physically, but mentally. I'd ticked off a lot of big races in New Zealand. I'd chased times, chased podiums, chased the next level. And then I hit a point where I asked myself, why am I still doing this? The fire that I had for racing wasn't gone, but it had changed. I didn't have the same hunger to race every event, every year. The repetition started to feel like obligation, not opportunity. And the cost, financially, emotionally, logistically, just didn't make sense anymore unless the race really meant something to me. That's when this idea of bucket list races started to take hold. Races that aren't just about speed or proving something, but about the experience, the place, the story. I remember a post I made back in 2019 about the Noosa triathlon, saying how badly I wanted to do it one day. It wasn't about the distance or the result, it was about the vibe, the location, the fact that it just looked fun. And now, in 2025, I'm finally going. Not because it's strategic, not because I need a race on the calendar, but because it's something I have genuinely wanted to do for years. That small mental shift from racing to experience has completely changed how I feel about the sport again. It took the pressure off. It made room for joy. It brought back the kind of energy I had when I first got into this, before I knew what FTP or race tapering even was. And I'm not saying I'll never chase a goal again, but now I'm prioritizing races that feel right, races that excite me, races that make me want to train and not feel like I have to. It's not a step back, it's a step sideways towards a version of the sport that feels more honest, more sustainable, and a hell of a lot more fun. There's something special about a race you've dreamed of doing, not for glory, not for points, because it means something to you. Bucket list races just hit different. The ones you've bookmarked for years, the ones you talk about on coffee rides, the ones that sit in the back of your mind waiting for the right moment, not because they'll help your race resume, but because they feed your soul. Noose is one of those for me. I remember seeing it years ago on someone's feed and thinking, that just looks fun. Sun, ocean, good energy, people who are there for the vibe as much as the competition. And now that I'm finally signed up for it, I'm more excited for the experience than I am for the finish time. Same thing with the Tour of Samoa. It's not just a 6-day race, it's a journey. It's a challenge, but it's also a cultural experience, a chance to ride somewhere beautiful, to disconnect from the same old race scene and connect with something new. These are the kind of events that make you remember why you started in the first place. They take you back to the feeling of your first ever race, the butterflies, the buzz, the sheer novelty of it all. And for me, chasing that feeling is way more valuable than chasing a PB. What I've learned is that when I stop worrying about performance, I actually feel more present. I take in more of the scenery, I chat to more people, I finish races with actual memories, not just metrics. And it's not that goals aren't good, but when they start to cloud the experience, when you're so focused on execution that you forget to enjoy it, you miss what these events are supposed to be about. And I think we need to race more for joy, not just for the results and not just to prove something. There's a kind of freedom that comes with picking a race because it excites you, not because it fits into the plan. There is so much freedom in saying, yeah, I'm just doing this for me. Bucket list races remind me that racing can still be an adventure, not just a stat. Honestly, I feel more excited about the sport than I have in a long time. Not because I'm chasing new PBs, but because I'm chasing new experiences. Races like Samoa, races like Noosa, and other races I've got on the cards later this year. They're not just goals on a calendar. They're things I've genuinely looked forward to for years. And the fact that I'm getting to do them now, not to prove anything to anyone, but just because I want to, that's a privilege. And I don't take that lightly. These are the kind of events that give energy, not drain it. And that's the headspace that I want to stay in. And going forward, that's how I'll be approaching racing. Not as a proving ground, not as a content engine, but as a chance to be present, to explore, and to keep falling in love with the process, even if the result doesn't put me on a podium. And I hope that if you're feeling burned out or stuck or unsure of your own next step, you know it's okay to take a breath, to reset, to reframe your goals. You don't have to race for anyone else's expectations. You're allowed to race for the view, for the vibe, for the memory. That's what I'll be doing this year. So if you've got a bucket list race, I'd love to hear about it in the comments. Where have you always wanted to race? Not because it's prestigious, but because it's yours. And if you're subscribed to the channel, thank you. I'm so excited to take you with me to some of these events, to show what racing for joy really looks like. And if you're not subscribed yet, hit that button and stick around, because this journey is just getting started and I think it's going to be a good one.